they're the kind of people who are very open to coming back to Nigeria if the opportunity presents.
Gloria too?
Of course, yes. You know, I mean, they're very, very open. You know, if that opportunity was here in Nigeria,
for them to come and be coaches,
to mentor the kids coming up, because if kids in Nigeria do not see Olympic silver medalists like Glory and Francis, then they have nothing to aspire to. So I agree with you completely that that is something very important, to give our coaches and our former athletes in diaspora opportunity to come back to Nigeria to lift the sport.
What is the way out for the young ones, really? I mean, highlighting all of these things is to help us treat the ones that are coming behind, the Francis, the Gloria, the former stars, treat them well so that they are not tempted to leave the way these other guys have gone and we've lost them to other countries.
Well, I mean, I think Francis' story that we just saw is an inspiration. I mean, you saw that he came from humble beginnings and he did whatever he could do to go and run, you know, sleeping on the street,
the car parks,
and so on.
Selling, running on the streets.
Yeah. So I think that's an inspiration, you know, for kids here to look at and say, look, we need to have some determination to get to where we need to go. But I think for them to really make it at the top level, it needs to be a community effort in Nigeria to lift the sport. There needs to be funding available for these kids. If you look at what America does and what Jamaica does now, they give their best athletes scholarships to go to university. They don't have a worry in the world about feeding, about accommodation. Yeah. So I think once we can look after the athletes to that level, give them, you know, basic necessities of life, and give them the opportunity to make a living out of athletics, you'll see a big change.
You've been to Jamaica. I mean,
yes.
your film took you to Jamaica to talk to a lot of the athletes there,
yes.
A lot of the coaches there, what they're doing right, how there was suddenly a transformation in athletics in Jamaica. Now they produce world champions so easily. What were your findings? What did they tell you that they are doing that we are supposed to be doing here as well?
Well, Jamaica is a fascinating place because they have this competition, inter-schools competition called Champs. It's actually starting this week in Jamaica. Now, we were there last year to witness this live, and it was while we were at Champs that we met a lot of the current Jamaican stars like Shelly-Ann Fraser-Price, Asafa Powell, Johan Blake, and we interviewed them for the film. And what's fascinating about Jamaica is that Champs has happened for 100 years. But it's only in the last 10 to 15 years that Jamaica has started winning gold medals, breaking world records. And it's because
the investment in youth and grassroots has been a long time. It's just beginning to yield results now.
The reason why it's yielding results now is because a few people in Jamaica decided to professionalize the sport. They said, you know what, instead of sending our kids to the American college system, in essence, outsourcing your athlete development, let's keep them in Jamaica, Jamaican food, Jamaican schools, and let's train them to win at the highest level, which is at the Olympics. And you've seen the result of that over the last 10, 15 years. So I'm trying to show people in Nigeria that we should take a leaf out of Jamaica's book and realize that we have all the resources.
We don't necessarily need to take them to the US.
No, we have the talent here.
Do we have the facilities here to do that?
We have facilities. You know, there are tracks all across Nigeria. We have gyms. You know, we may need to beef up some of the facilities, but we have the basic facilities.
What about the professionalism?
And that is something that we can also work on. You know, I think once we professionalize the sport, give these guys a chance to make a living, not just make a living, but become superstars like Usain Bolt. Usain Bolt makes $20 million a year, you know, because
endorsements and all of those.
From endorsements. So if we can create some fast athletes over the next few years, have them win at the next Olympics, then the sky is the limit. Yeah.
Well, let me go to Twitter very quickly and read a few comments. A few comments are coming through on athletics, on what we're discussing, the Francis Obikwelu story. Basanya Kabiru Tunde says, Obikwelu's story is really touching. Is wowed by Obikwelu's story. And, I mean, that's a typical story of an athlete.
Yes.
From grass to grace. But unfortunately, for us in Nigeria, when you are provided a platform for somebody to move from grass to grace, you find it difficult to keep them and help them come back and develop where they came from.
Yeah.
And Obekwelu, for example, would have been useful in going back to where he grew up to discover other kids who are running on the streets, walking on the streets, going through the same kind of challenges that he went through. But unfortunately, he's rather doing it in Portugal.
But guess what? They are ready if they are called. But one thing I'll never forget that Francis said to me before we left, to get to that level of where they got to, they are professionals. They mean business. So he said to me that, look, he's ready to come, but when he gets here, he wants to work with people that, you know, professional, mean business, are not going to waste his time. Otherwise, he can just stay in Portugal and be giving back to them. But it's the thing I showed in my film that, you know, for me, the thing that hit me the most from meeting them is, despite the fact that they want to give back to Nigeria, they just don't have the opportunity to.
All right, let me go to some other comments on Twitter. This one, Tunde Ashafa wants to know what the current stage of Leon Balogun's injury. What's the current state of his injury, and would he be able to make the Super Eagles team to the World Cup? Well, his injury, when he picked up the injury, it was supposed to be out for between 6 and 10 weeks. He should be back just in time for our last friendly games. But I don't know if Keshi's 30-man list would have been out before then. If it is out before then, it will affect the possibility of Leon being on that list and eventually making the World Cup. All right, before we wrap up the show, let's update you with what is going on in the English Premier League before I come back and talk to Bambo, and then allow him to wrap up what he has for us on the show. Let's go again and update you with the results. Games, the 3 games currently going on at halftime as we speak, and I told you that it's looking so good for the teams on the road, because as we speak, at halftime, Arsenal 0, Swansea 1, Manchester United 0, Man City 1, Newcastle 0, Everton 1. So it's a case of the away teams going on the road and getting their heads in front at halftime. Will they be able to come back in the second half, hold on to this lead, and then steal victory from the home teams? The next 45 minutes, we'll have a lot to say about that. All right, let me see this one. I am _Alex. That's Alexi John. Says, good job to you guys. I want to know. It says, I want you to know that I'm watching your program right now, and I want you to know that I'm a sprinter. That's coming from Alexis John. He's a sprinter, but I don't know how good you are. I don't know if what Bambo is doing could be useful to you. But talk to aspiring athletes, Bambo, before they give up on the system, because one thing we've discovered is that it looks like our system isn't just working. I mean, that's one thing that has been emphasized by all of these guys. Our system isn't just working, but we still have talents here. The talent is here. No problem about the talents. What will you say to young aspiring sprinters and athletes?
I would say that they should persevere and keep at it, and hopefully with the efforts that
they get these facilities, how do they get the training, the professionalism? Because time is not waiting.
Yeah, that's true. Well, I mean, I think there's a lot of things happening in athletics in Nigeria. First of all, there's the schools competitions. A couple of weeks ago, I was at Lagos State Schools Athletics Competition. Not a lot of people know that this is happening, but things are happening. So I would say to aspiring athletes in Nigeria, get plugged into your school's competitions or your university's competitions, and as we continue to work on athletics as a community to get the system right, hopefully those bigger opportunities to become professional athletes will appear, will materialize. Yeah.
All right, Bambo, our time is up. We have to go now, and on Tuesdays, I mean, we're going to make this regular on the show. Bambo is going to be around on Tuesdays. We will devote a lot of time to talk athletics. Maybe that could be our own little contributions to restoring that lost glory. We were running a lot faster 20 years ago, and Francis still holds the record
for 200 meters.
For 200 meters, how many years after? From 1999.
1999.
That 19.84 that he did is still the record for Nigeria till now. We're not running any faster. What's the problem?
Well, I mean, it's professionalizing the sport. Like, we need to give these athletes the same belief that the footballers have, that if we perform at the highest level, we will make money from this and we will have a good living and we can look after our families.
All right, we have to wrap up the show on that note and ask you to enjoy the rest of the night. We'll be back tomorrow with a bigger and a better package. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye now.